All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about just stuff going on with this channel yet again. And just doing it real time for real people like you, like me. All right, so I bring this up because, I'm not all that inspired these days when you put out content and the content goes down the drain as far as analytics and viewership, and the channel right now just in free fall as far as viewership goes and new subscribers, inching along as we head slowly towards 65K. I know there are people who would love to have 65K. I'm not complaining about that, but I have been doing this for 7 years, which is crazy to even think about, or probably 6.5, something like that. You can find videos back from 2016 out there. But I'm a little concerned with all of this stuff going on with the banks and, hey, YouTube, maybe they're going to get less advertising for the platform. But what I don't understand is why all my analytics are crashing. If I go back in time, March typically isn't a great month to do this. I understand that, but the ebbs and flows are pretty extreme. So I wanted to alert folks to that. Plus, I'm having issues with monetization where I'll put a video up and it will just say, ads pending, and then the video starts and the ads are still pending. And by the time, you've had a whole bunch of people watching it, the ads haven't been, with the video. So again, it's concerning. I try not to trigger any kind of algorithm which would just look at a word, a title, and say, no, this video isn't safe for consumption. I know they have those types of algorithms in place. But this feels different because half of my earnings have dried up since September, October. And that's a pretty big drop, even though I have more subscribers. And I think all of the scandals going on with Journey, and there's always good material out there with what some of these folks are talking about when it comes to the government or Ukraine or musicians who probably shouldn't be on stage anymore. There's a lot of different things to talk about. And that's why I put out content almost every single day. This channel puts out content. Every so often, I might take one day and not do a video, but as the revenue stream begins to tank, which that's what it is, it's tanking, I feel more obligated to put together some content, but I don't want to force content out there which isn't any good, that people don't want to watch. So I understand, the high production value, the shorter videos, all of those things are really taking center stage. And people think I've got sour grapes or something. No, I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I actually took a little informal poll, and most of the people said, just stay the course. This is why we watch you. We don't watch the slicker presentations because that's all about sound effects and editing and so forth. And I don't do any of those things. And again, I've said this before in other videos. I probably should have learned to do some of this stuff, and I might be more effective. And I could still try to learn. But even so, to do those types of videos, it's very time consuming. And honestly, I have other things that I need to pay attention to in my life, so it's difficult. I do spend several hours a day either preparing, researching, thinking about what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, what angle to approach it from. Is there an angle that everyone else missed? Is there something that I know specifically that can help with getting some unique information to people regarding a topic? And all these things come into play every single day. So I try to do a good job with this. There are some days where I know it might be kind of lame. For you regular subscribers out there, all I can ask is that you'll continue to support the channel. I know I'm hearing of instances where people aren't getting notified when a video drops, where they've been unsubscribed. I don't hear that quite as much as the notification issue. So remember, you got to click on the bell if you want notifications for new videos. As far as Patreon goes, I've had a pretty consistent group of people on Patreon. Some people leave, but then I get some people who come back or are new. I've also got YouTube memberships available, which are really easy to sign up for. It's almost as if, yeah, I've got the YouTube membership, so now the regular ad revenue goes down more than the amount of memberships and Patreon increases, which again, I wish I could just offset all that. I wish I had a wealthy donor. Let's put it that way. I had one wealthy donor that loved the channel and said, hey, what's it going to take to keep you, financially solvent as an individual? And I don't have anybody who can do that. As far as sponsorships and things like that, you've already seen a lot of advertising, right? Before, during, and after videos or whatever. I don't know. I just don't have the heart to be a sales person. I tried that for 7 years, and I'm kind of not wanting to do that anymore. I know other people do it. They've got gear, they got t-shirts. I had t-shirts briefly, but I wasn't selling them per se, but people, if, they would make a donation or a contribution, and I would say, okay, here's a t-shirt, right? But I'm just not into the t-shirts, and, people have a lot of good ideas. But as far as spending, 10 hours a day in production and all that stuff, I wish I could do it. Maybe that's the difference between a channel that blows up and gets like, 1 million subscribers versus me that just kind of like turtling along here. And that's fine. The turtle stuff is okay. It's just when the turtle crashes and falls off the ledge and you're like, okay, why is this happening? I'm thinking something else is going on. Now, again, the conspiracy side of me is like, okay, I talk about politics. I don't believe in either the left or the right-wing paradigm right now. I just don't believe that either one of those groups is looking out for anybody. I think they look out for themselves. So, my political views are strange, but I think it's a growing minority of people who are realizing that neither side really has their best interests at heart. And again, I've spoken about the war in Ukraine, and I have a very different take on that than pretty much all of the rock media and every rock musician except for two. And I've talked about those two guys. In fact, one of those guys actually came on and spoke with me. So it's nice to have friends, but again, we're kind of all alone hanging out and wondering, okay, there's nobody else with us, or there are enough people. If there were enough people with us, then I wouldn't be having this conversation. Because I've been told, you're not in your lane if you stayed. Look, my lane right now is where I want it to go. That's my lane. And if you don't like that, I've told people, hey, there are lots of other channels. But for those of you who do like the channel, who do support the content here, I appreciate your support, but I'm just letting folks know that times are a little different. They're a little rough. It's not good when inflation is double digits and your income was cut in half and you're working just as hard, if not harder, to produce content each day. So I'm hoping that resolves itself, because on other occasions it got bad for a while and started to come back. So I'm hoping it will eventually come back. And if it's just journey content that people want, I'm sorry, I do a ton of journey content as it is. And, as this stuff plays out, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot to talk about for weeks and months and hopefully years ahead. But, you know, again, there are other things to talk about, and everybody gets bored with the same topics. And, you know, I guess if you look at it like a soap opera, like you want your next installment of that soap opera, it's interesting, but it can't go on forever. If I knew it could go on forever, then I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, let's just make this into a channel about this particular soap opera issue. People like it and they watch it. And so I tend to cater, by the way, to content that people watch. All right. It's just a normal thing to do. People do it on television. Hey, if our ratings are bad and we've got this topic, then maybe we should choose another topic, you know. So the stuff that people want to hear about, that's the stuff I tend to cover. I do tend to cover some rogue information when I'm feeling a little, you know, adventurous and taking a risk. But a lot of times, as soon as I take that risk, you know, there are a lot of bands that would like to talk about their music, and we'd have an interview and I'd have like, you know, 200 views or something. It's not good for either one of us. They're not getting a lot of views. That's why I will hold up a CD like DeCarlo. I will hold it up because at least people are seeing that for a few seconds and going, okay, at least he didn't spend the entire video blabbing about something I don't care about, you know? So anyway, folks, the analytics are down. It's crashing. It's not just down. Again, this happens periodically, and I'm pretty sure historically this time of year, but this is a little deeper because when you get to a certain level, you kind of maintain that level. But this is dropping to like 2017 levels where I was back 7 years ago, 7 years ago. So I'm a little bit concerned, and I'm hoping, you know, for those of you who can support the channel for $1 a month on Patreon or YouTube memberships, if you like the content, that helps offset some of this collapse here. But it would take at least, I don't know, I would say 1,000 people getting in out of the 65K. I'm close to 65K total. If, you know, 1/65th of those folks jumped in and did something, then I'm thinking it wouldn't matter. The analytics would just be gravy, you know, good months and bad months, and not really worrying about it. And that would be healthier for me. But people have a lot of other bigger problems than me losing some revenue. So again, just an update on the channel. If you want to help out, there are several ways to do it. I appreciate all the people who are constantly doing this every month. We have good conversations over on Patreon. You've got like-minded people over there. We don't put up with trolls or hostility or negativity. As far as YouTube memberships, that's very easy to do as well. So that's my video. Sorry about, you know, just me venting here a little bit, but it's been on my mind now for about a week, and I'm hoping that things start to move in the other direction. And I'm hoping that we don't have like a full economic collapse with all of what's happening with these banks. So anyway, on that happy note, I will see you soon.